Hi, in this video, we will discuss the human response to sound in terms of loudness. The human ear magically converts incoming sound energy into the eardrum oscillation. So you can see there is incoming sound wave reach to the outer ear, where the shape of the outer ear can enhance the sound pressure at the eardrum, and it can help to determine the location of the sound source as well. The sound wave will continue move to the ear canal that amplifies the sound by using the resonance, protect and direct the sound wave to the eardrum. So this is our eardrum. Then the sound will flow into the middle ear-bone motions, standing wave on the basilar membrane, where you can see the sound flow to the tiny bones in the middle ears, which consists of the hammer, anvil, and stirrup, which provide the amplification of sound around 1000 Hz. And then it continues to move, and over here is the semicular canal, which is used to control the equilibrium. And it continues to flow into the cochlea, which is the hair cells of the basilar membrane that vibrate to add in frequency recognition. Then the sound information will ultimately go into the nerve impulse that are relayed to the brain. Brain will process this information, psychologically interpret it, and determine the meaning and value of that sound. So you can see the auditory nerve can process the sound information and send it in terms of impulse to the brain. Then brain will interpret the signals to be the sound. Frequency range of human hearing is generally considered as 20 to 20 kHz. The upper range of the frequency varies greatly among the individuals. This frequency range will decrease with age as well as with high noise exposure. The end part of the cochlea here processes the high frequency data. The sensitivity of the hair cell here will decrease when we expose to high noise frequency. This will cause our hearing to be less sensitive to the high frequency sound, especially when we are old. For the sound pressure level, the amplitude of our sensation range from the threshold of hearing, which is approximate to 0 dB, to the threshold of discomfort and pain, which is around 120 to 140, depends on individuals. This is the effect of noise. Physically, it can cause hearing loss if the amplitude is sufficiently high. Besides that, based on this reference, the noise actually causes several effects to our human body. Besides the physical effect, it also causes the psychologically and socially effect. Noise can cause damaged hearing, interfere with the communication, be annoying, cause tiredness, and reduce the efficiency. Let's discuss on the loudness of the sound. If we compare it to the sound intensity, we will see that these quantities are not directly perceived in the ear. Rather, we interpret the sound in our brain. So brain is the place where we interpret the loudness of the acoustic sensation. The unit of the loudness is called the phone. Loudness is a subjective response to the amplitude of the sound. Therefore, different individuals might have different interpretation of the loudness. Loudness of a particular sound is based on the judgment of the intensity of a sound by a human being. It is not linearly related to either the sound pressure in Pascal, sound pressure level, or the sound power level. In this table, when we double the sound power, the sound pressure level will be changed, and it shows there is 3 dB increase. The interpretation of the loudness on this change of the sound is just perceptible. or very noticeable on the increase in terms of loudness. So you see the loudness does not doubling when the sound power is doubling. When we increase the sound power by 10 times, then in this case, the sound pressure level will increase by 10 dB. In this situation, we interpret the change of the sound to be twice as loud to the original sound. As a noise control engineer, we need to ensure at least 5 dB or more improvement must be obtained to achieve a noticeable decrease in terms of loudness. If we want to achieve 10 dB improvement, means we reduce the sound by 10 dB compared to the original sound. The original sound power is assumed to be 1, so in this case, instead of increase it by 10 times, we need to reduce it to 1/10 in terms of the sound power. By doing that, we can see the sound energy is reduced by 90% from the original sound power. Since loudness is a subjective evaluation of the sound amplitude depends on the individual person, engineers and scientists has put a lot of effort to conduct an empirical study to collect the behavior of the listener to different sound pressure level. They define the loudness of the sound 30 phones equal to 30 dB at 1000 Hz. So you can see the frequency here is 1000 Hz and the sound pressure level here is equal to 30. By comparing to the loudness of 30 phones at 1000 Hz here, listener is required to adjust the volume of the single pure tones of various frequency. For example, at this frequency, around 30 Hz, most of the listener increase the sound volume in order to obtain same loudness as the 1000 Hz sound here. So if you measure the sound that you listen at this point, and you should obtain this, where 1/T give you 1000, and the amplitude of the sound pressure level is equal to 30 dB. If we plot the sound pressure level versus the time at this point, since it is equal to 30 Hz, therefore you can see the period is very large, since the frequency is much more lesser. In this case, the amplitude is around 110. Based on the last amplitude here, many people misinterpret that this sound is actually much louder compared to the sound here. But in fact, in this study, it shows that both of them give the same loudness. At 4000 Hz, you can see that the user tends to reduce the noise in order to obtain same loudness as the 1000 Hz sound here. So you can see that at different frequency, our ears interpret the sound loudness differently. Based on these three results, we can say that our human ears has the highest sensitivity at 4000, followed by 1000 and 30. As an analog example, you can imagine there is an old guy who watched the TV, and when he listened to the sound, he found that the sound is very low, and he tried to increase the volume. However, for a young girl, he thinks that this volume is too high. So what do you think? Do you think the old guy has less sensitivity of the hearing compared to the young guy, or the old guy has high sensitivity of the hearing compared to the young guy? Of course, we will say the old guy here has less sensitivity of his hearing. That's why he need to increase the volume. So this is just some analog example to give you more idea about the sensitivity of our ear about the loudness of the sound. Similarly, imagine that we play the sound at 30 dB for all the frequency, and you try to listen to the sound. In this case, you will listen to different loudness at different frequency. If you find the loudness of the sound to be very low as compared to the 1000 Hz sound here, then you need to increase the volume like the old guy did here in order to have the same loudness as the 1000 Hz. With that, we can say that our ear is less sensitive in low frequency. If you try to reduce the volume, or in other words, to reduce the sound pressure level to obtain same loudness as 1000 Hz here, so we can say that our ear is very sensitive to the sound at 4000 Hz. So far, we have learned that at different frequency, although the sound pressure level here is constant, due to our ear sensitivity is different at various frequency, we will listen to different loudness in this case. By referring to a particular curve here, where the loudness is equal to 40 phone. So in this case, we take the reference at 1000 Hz by adjust the dB to be 40. So you can see that we need to reduce the sound pressure level in order to obtain the same loudness at this frequency. Therefore, we can say our ear is more sensitive to this region. When you reduce the frequency, the SPL is increasing. In general, we can say the sensitivity of our ear drop, especially at the low frequency region. At high frequency region here, the SPL value is high as well. Therefore, the sensitivity is dropped in this region. We have minimum SPL value at this region. At this frequency region, our ear has the maximum sensitivity. By using this information, if we are able to provide a speech at this frequency, then it will make the audience more concentrate. This is the dynamic range at 400 Hz, where this is the minimum SPL that we can listen to, and this is the maximum SPL value. This is the schematic diagram for the ear's dynamic range, where you can see the music and speech concentrate in this region. For 40 phone loudness, the blue color here is the original ISO standard. The loudness based on the new ISO standard is provided in the red color here. The old standard is more sensitive in low frequency. As you can see, the blue color line here has lower SPL compared to the new standard. Based on the new standard, ear has less sensitivity in the low frequency in actual. Based on the loudness curve here, we can see that the sound pressure level change with respect to the frequency, although you have the same loudness for the blue curve here. It will be useful for us to scale the dB to a level where it has the same sound pressure level for the same loudness. For example, at 40 phone here, you have the same SPL at different frequency. By doing this, based on the SPL value here, we can link it to the loudness. This is very important for us to correlate the actual measurement of the SPL to adapt with our ear response. This can be achieved by using the weighting technique, and you will learn this later. This is for your extra information. So far, we used the phone for the unit of loudness. The disadvantage of using this unit is that you see the 80 phone is not 2 times louder than 40 phone. So in order to linearize the loudness, we can use this formula to convert the phones to the sounds unit. If you obtain 1 sound, it means the loudness is same with the 40 phone sound. If you obtain 2 sounds, it is twice louder than the 40 phone sound. Noisiness and annoyance are extra information for you. These evaluations are subjective. For example, some motorcycle sounds might be great to you, but for your neighbor it may be very annoying. The unit of the noisiness is equal to noise, and the noisiness curve is provided here. One noise is defined to be the noisiness of 1000 Hz at SPL of 40 dB. This curve has the same noisiness at 1 noise And these curves are two noise curves. Two noise are twice as noisy as one noise. This is for your extra information also. So pitch is the subjective response of the human hearing to the frequency. When we say high pitch, it means high frequency. Not all the loud noise are noise. Some noise can be a good thing. For example, sound can tell us if we are driving too fast or talking too loud over the phone. We might use experienced ears to tell whether our car engine is running properly or not. And the backup alarms on the truck or the equipment save lives as well as the sirens on the ambulance. In some workspace, noise can be a dangerous thing. In this example, you can see that in a noisy working environment, normal conversation is difficult to be achieved. Communication becomes difficult in this case. This adds difficulty and risk to the work. Being too quiet may not be a good thing. If it is too quiet in an office, then there will be no speech privacy. Normally, office require a certain amount of background noise approximate to this value in order to provide some degree of privacy. By doing this, private conversation can be done without the entire department hearing it. Also, it will be annoying if you sleep in a quiet room. So for example, if there is a mosquito flying by when you are sleeping, if the room is too quiet, then you can listen to the flying noise of the mosquito. And that is very annoying when we are trying to sleep. Existence of some background noise will be helpful in this case.